This is Do It For a Living, your source for inside information on the future of automotive performance.
I think is adding brands, supporting customers, and like I said, keeping the smaller businesses in the game and making sure they have a playing field to compete on fairly and win.
What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It For a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
We're back with another episode of Do It For a Living. This interview is going to be very cool. This is a topic that has kind of gotten a lot of publicity in our little niche market lately. I've got Kyle Shelley, who is the sales director with Turn14. Turn14, if you're not aware who they are a wholesale and distribution house for a lot of import stuff, and they've also got into off-road truck and a lot of domestic stuff as well. I'll let Kyle kind of describe what they do, but this topic, what's so interesting about it is as the evolution of the internet and how part sales has evolved, it's become a real problem for performance shops to make money selling parts when you can buy the same parts online for roughly the same price as what some shops can buy the parts for from wholesale. And so Kyle's got a lot of information on this and how they're handling it and how manufacturers can work with distributors to kind of make sure that shops can make a decent margin on the stuff and still make the customers happy and make sure the products are kind of going through the right channels and not gray market areas, I guess you could say. But Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I appreciate your time and having me talk about this subject. I feel like I talk about it a lot lately, so I'm happy to talk about what I know and keep the conversation going because it's an interesting topic to me.
Yeah, it is. And, we kind of brushed on this really short time at SEMA this year when I kind of met you for the first time. But, and I know you have people who are working for you on the Do It For a Living community as well as some of the other shop owner communities. And I think you guys have actually taken pretty good notice of this issue, and you're actually taking a lot of action towards it. And I guess we'll kind of let you kind of fill that in here. But getting started, let's give us some background on yourself. How did you get involved in cars and, kind of take us back to where you got involved in Turn14 as well?
Sure. So one of my buddies, my childhood friends, is one of the owners of Turn14. And so he started the business out of his college dorm room, and I would always go hang out at his college and kind of just hang out. And I saw him start the business, and I would listen to him and his partner talk on the phone to customers and support customers. And eventually, he convinced me. It's funny. He convinced me to buy a 2002 WRX. To start modifying, because I really wasn't into cars too much. My dad wasn't into cars, but he convinced me to start modifying this Subaru. I remember I bought I think it was an exhaust depot up-pipe and a Turbo XS RFL blow-off valve. And man, I feel like the rest is just history. Once those parts were on there, I was hooked. So
the drug, right? You got stuck on the drug.
Yeah, it's how can it be more fun? I mean, an up pipe on an O2 WRX is like the best thing, I swear.
And so you were in college at this time?
I was, yep.
What was what were you going to school for?
You know what? I don't think it was just at the beginning of college, and I don't know if I actually had picked what I was going to school for. Honestly, I didn't last very long in school. I spent my finals week at his college, kind of just listening to them do what they do with their business. So I didn't last in school very long. I was in the workforce maybe 2 years into school. So
okay, so you were actually at different colleges from your friends then, huh?
Yep.
Okay, so they were childhood friends. You each went to different school, and you were hanging out with them a lot. And so did they kind of have the same, situation as you? Did they finish school, or did they kind of do the Turn14 thing?
You know what? I believe they had to start one of the school projects for my buddy John was he's actually the president and CEO of the company, but he's still my buddy. One of the projects was he had to start a business for school, and he started this company. it didn't always start off as Turn14. We started off as a retailer, a place called JSC Speed.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, so he started off this company, and he ran the company and finished school. Him and Chris Candido, his other partner, and focused on the business after school, after they graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, they were smart. They graduated, not like me.
So you were working for them, after your 2 years after you left college, you were working directly for them immediately, or was that something else?
No, I wasn't. I had a stint of a sales in a retail position. I was selling shoes before I came here and did this.
Okay.
People always give me heck about that, calling me Al Bundy, but I'm proud to say that I was a shoe salesman for a while, so
Awesome.
I thought I was pretty good at it, actually.
Awesome. Okay, and so what kind of time frame are we looking at? What year is this when you were kind of left school, working, selling shoes, and hanging out with your friends at JSC Speed at the time?
So they first hired me in 2004. So they went from their dorm room. They started the company with $100 in their dorm room. They went from that to a basement. And then they finally, in 2004, built up enough courage, I guess, to get a 4,000 square foot place in Ivyland, PA. And that's when they brought me on. I was their first employee. I started off in the warehouse, shipping packages. I would get their lunch every day. When the bathroom needed to be cleaned, I did that. And eventually I started coming in the office and doing some sales and building, adding products to the website and stuff. So I would do a bunch of different things for them.
Awesome. And so JSC, is this still JSC Speed, or was it as Turn14 at this time?
So I think it was around 2007 we established Turn14 distribution. We had JSC Speed at the same time.
Okay. So they're two separate companies then, I guess.
It was kind of, we were doing some wholesale under the JSC Speed name, but it was in 2007 two separate companies owned by the same people.
Okay. And as JSC Speed, were you guys still doing a lot of service? So in that 4,000 square foot, was it just a parts warehouse, or were you doing lifts and working on cars there?
It was just parts, supplying parts. We did have a lift in there that we would use for our own personal stuff, but we didn't really do any work for our customers. It was just for personal stuff.
Okay. And maybe using it to like test parts that you do sell or something, or like install some parts to make sure they fit. Is that kind of...
Yeah, we would do that. Manufacturers would give us, like free parts to try out and test and promote. So we would do a little bit of that. But most of the space was used for inventory.
Okay. And so how has location played a role in your success? I mean, where exactly is this location that you guys were renting 4,000 square feet out of?
That was in Ivyland, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Where exactly is that? I actually don't even have any idea.
It's not too far from Philadelphia.
Okay.
We're just a suburb outside of Philadelphia, so
okay,
not too far from where we're at now, too, in Montgomeryville.
Okay.
So 2007, Turn14 was established, and then around 2011, we actually sold off JSC Speed and put all of our efforts into wholesale with Turn14 distribution. Mm-hmm. That's when we bought a new facility, 52,000 square feet. You asked me how location played a role. I think it was extremely important. In the sport compact world, there really wasn't a good, in my opinion, there wasn't a real go-to place to source product on the East Coast. You had a West Coast guy with ProMotion Distributing, I think their name is. But there was really nothing on the East Coast, so I feel like there was a hole, and we filled it. So
and being East Coast, I mean, I know there are a whole bunch of shops out there, and it's amazing that the whole import scene is really concentrated on the coast, so West Coast or East Coast. And so being close to them, I would assume everything you ship is, even though they pay for ground, they get it same day almost, huh?
Yeah, for most,
or next day, I should say.
A lot of it, yeah. It's I think the stats are 2 days or less to 83% of the U.S. and 100% is 3-day coverage. There's a whole bunch 1-day coverage with our Montgomeryville, PA warehouse and our Reno warehouse, but.
Okay. Okay, and the Reno one we'll talk about later, but yeah, that's actually fairly new too, isn't it?
It is. It's 2014. We put up the Reno location.
Okay, so explain the worst experience you've had in business. Kind of give us like what is the, like the big story that you've had to deal with, and maybe made you not like the industry or something.
I get frustrated when maybe a potential customer or a potential vendor won't give us an opportunity to work with them. Sometimes people can have a preconceived idea of who we are and what we are. Whether they were talking to somebody and they weren't saying the right things, about Turn14 or whatever. Maybe they just thought it up in their head. But I would have to say that's the most frustrating thing when people don't give us a shot. That's definitely frustrating.
Has that gotten worse with Facebook, do you think?
No, you know what? I think it's gotten better over the years.
Okay.
It's definitely gotten better. I think Facebook has helped, actually. It's more people are talking about the positive experiences they've had with Turn14.
Okay, and it allows you to address it a lot easier because like if somebody tags you or somebody at the company, they can see it immediately, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't see that happening too often. Okay. Normally, I won't even hear about it, but when we approach someone, then we'll hear these negative things, and we kind of don't know where they're coming from. So, I mean, I feel like we're good about dealing with those issues. We kind of we just ask them to give us a chance, and normally, when people do give us a chance, we do very well
at addressing it. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what's something you've got going on right now that has you fired up?
I'll tell you, man. I think the subject of this conversation has me a little fired up. Like street pricing issues. It really it gets me fired up when the customers that Turn14 supports, can't be competitive in the marketplace. It kind of cuts our customers out of the sales chain and cuts Turn14 out of the sales chain, and I don't think that's fair to them or us. So that definitely gets me fired up, especially with 2 warehouses full of stuff. So
exactly, you got a lot of money in inventory sitting on shelves, and you got to keep it moving, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
EFI University is hosting a new class called Essentials of Operating a Shop. If you're interested in learning how to run your shop more efficiently, this class is for you. For details and to find a class near you, go to EFI101.com and look for the Essentials of Operating a Shop class. Our next class is being held in Orlando, Florida on April 16th, followed by Phoenix, Arizona on April 23rd. Be sure to use the coupon code DIFAL for $50 off when you sign up. The focus topic we've got for this interview here is pricing policies and how you guys help, or how you manage it and how you keep it all together. And interestingly, I was ordering some stuff from your site just I think 2 days ago, and I was ordering from a brand that I normally had been buying from a lot. Every maybe 2 weeks I'd make an order, and I actually noticed you guys just came out with a new. I could not order the part without getting authorized through the manufacturer. And so I had to go to the manufacturer's webpage, and I had to verify with them that I had a legitimate business, and I guess they did their due diligence on making sure that my shop had an actual webpage, an actual storefront, whatever their requirements may have been. And then I was able to see once they approved me, I was able to see the pricing and order the parts through you guys. So that's all, very, very new, right?
Fairly new, yeah. I would call that an authorized program. That's fairly new. I kind of like that solution. It's the manufacturer's solution to, having some kind of hold on what the product is being sold for and who is selling the product. I think the idea is know who you're selling to and know they're a quality customer. They're going to represent the brand well, and that's kind of the idea behind the program. I think they're a great idea. We've put a lot of effort into making sure these programs run smoothly, educating people on what's available to them, why the program is there, and then just making sure we do it exactly how the manufacturer wants. So I kind of like them.
Awesome. And so kind of, I guess I jumped out of order here, but give us some more background on Turn14 and how it is working today. So you already said you have one 54,000 square foot warehouse on the East Coast, and you have a Reno warehouse. So kind of give us some more information on Turn14 and how you guys do things.
I would say our number one focus is supporting the customer. And I think we approach that in a number of different ways. So our support department, the backbone of the company, in my opinion, it's always there to take care of customers. They're car people. They know the products. They get trained on the products, and they're there to help out when things maybe kind of go wrong or when something doesn't go the way it should. They're there to help out. Our web tools that we have, our website, we released a new website at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, and it looks very good, I must say.
Oh, thank you very much. It's just always, the website is always evolving. We're always adding new tools to help our customers. We want customers to have the answer to the question when one of their customers asks them for information on a product, a price, inventory levels, tracking numbers. We want that stuff available to our customers immediately, so they don't have to call or email. So we don't mind it when people call or email, but we want to make it as painless as possible for everybody. So we have actual live inventory and online ordering on our website. We give shipping quotes, international shipping quotes on our website, so people know exactly what they're going to pay. We offer manufacturer drop shipping. If we don't have something in stock and the manufacturer does, we can arrange to have it drop shipped from the manufacturer to that shop. We actually have a feature on our website that shows inventory levels at manufacturers. We show product information, product fitment. We have a vehicle make model search. All sorts of things we have on there, and it's all built in-house by our development team. So I feel like most of the tools that we have on our website, they've all been ideas from Turn14 sales staff or customers. So they give us these great ideas, and our development team here can put those ideas on the website. They can make them happen pretty fast. I feel like that's been one of the keys to Turn14's success, is keeping it all under one roof and not relying on another company to do the ideas to carry out the ideas that we have or our customers have.
Right. Makes sense. And you guys, obviously the webpage is the, I guess, the front door to your company, because how many people, I'm sure you have some, but very few people can actually come and do a will call pickup, right? So the way people see you is to visit the webpage.
Exactly. Yeah, we kind of try to put everything on the webpage, put as much information on it as possible, so people have everything they need. But I should say that the sales team is also a big part of Turn14. It's full of experienced industry people. They all have firsthand knowledge on modifying cars and trucks, and they all have a passion for the industry, which I think is one of the keys to our success too. You gotta be into it, man. You gotta be into it. If you're not into it, you're not gonna have success, in my opinion. So
yeah, and it's the salespeople. Are they mostly in the East Coast, or do you have people in Reno as well?
We're all on the sales team is all on the East Coast.
Okay, and so Reno is really just a fulfillment center for you guys. You guys stock stuff there and ship to West Coast from there. Is that kind of?
Yep. So we have the two warehouses, and then we have a corporate office that we just opened up in 2015. So it's a 37,000 square foot facility that we built out here, ready for more desks, more people, more expansion. So
okay. So you will using it for everything that the business needs, and not
Yep.
just a part storage. Okay, so you guys have been expanding into a lot of different markets lately. And maybe it's been longer. I just haven't paid that close of attention to it. But I've noticed you guys have been doing trucks now and domestic cars, and I see a lot of diesel performance being advertised for you guys. What is driving that expansion? Is it like your current customers, or are you looking for new customers? What drives that demand into the new markets?
So we continued some of the expansion into diesel truck, gas truck, modern muscle, European performance. That really started in 2012. We segmented the sales staff up into specialists that are experts in those specific markets. What drives that? I guess two things drive that. So our vendor partners sometimes will expand into different niches. Like I said, it's a partner. So as a partner to them, we're going to support their product offering, even if it evolves in different areas. So that's one way We move into different niches. Also, demand from customers. Their business is growing and it's expanding in different ways, and we work with our customers to support wherever kind of they're expanding into. So a lot of this will come from, we have a tool on our website that lets customers suggest new brands, and it gives a reason, why they want the brand. So a lot of new brands come from, our customers suggesting them.
Okay, very cool. Okay, and who do you guys sell to usually? And like, is it kind of a mix between brick and mortar physical part sales stores versus like installers or online people? Like, who do you sell to, and what do you look for when a new shop wants to buy through you?
We sell to all sorts of different customers. What I look for in new customers, I feel like has evolved based on a lot of feedback I've gotten from customers. So I put some new criteria in place for the new customers that are added to Turn14. I did this at the middle of last year. So we look for people that are kind of adding something to the industry, I feel like is a good way to describe it. Number one, I want somebody that has a commercial location. Someone that's concentrated in the automotive industry that knows our business. They have to be recognized by the state and have to have the appropriate paperwork. Really, the guys that aren't at a commercial location, kind of, from what I've seen in the past, sometimes they don't always respect pricing policies. And we kind of put a little more focus on looking at the people that we're opening up to ensure they're high-quality people, high-quality businesses that invest in their business, that aren't just looking to make a quick buck. So I pay really close attention to the accounts that we open. I review every account that the company does open to ensure it's a quality partner.
Has it always been that way where you review all of them, or has it kind of evolved over the years where
it's definitely evolved over the years. It hasn't always been that way, but I feel this is the best way to move forward, to ensure we're using our time best we possibly can. We have limited resources here, so it's important that we work with the best quality shops and really support the shops that we do work with as best we can. My feeling is that if you spend time supporting the guys that maybe don't respect the industry and don't respect some of the pricing policies, long term it's not good for our partners and it's not good for Turn14 or the industry. So that's kind of why I put these changes in place at the mid last year. So
very cool. And it is being obvious, or it is obvious, what you guys have been, how you have been trying to enforce these policies that you've put in place. But how hard is it to actually keep up with the shops to make sure they meet your qualifications and, don't start selling stuff on eBay for what they're buying it for, essentially?
I think we're pretty good about listening to our partners. Honestly, I don't think it's too hard. When somebody's going out there and selling at destructive levels, it's no secret to anybody. People will talk about it, and we'll get that feedback. And when we get that feedback, we review those clients and see if we want to continue to do business with them, or hopefully we can work with them to correct any issues with the pricing that they have. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's too hard. Those guys get pointed out pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, so it's almost become an industry self-policed thing, right? So if everybody knows what everybody's paying for all the parts, it's pretty easy to point them out and let them know, right? Or let you know.
Yeah, sometimes it's not that easy. A lot of times it's not. It's a customer maybe that's maybe not buying from me, but maybe buys direct from a manufacturer. That's kind of the situation I was talking about before, where Turn14 and our customers are cut out of the sales chain.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's really when I start to dissect things and talk to the vendors, manufacturers, and make sure there's a level playing field for everybody. It's extremely important.
Mm-hmm. Right, because if they start selling everything to a direct, a manufacturer direct to another business, and they start selling everything at the same price that people are buying stuff through you, then you would never be able to sell anything. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Pricing policies are good for everybody, I think. But the enforcement part of a pricing policy is the key. How is it enforced? That's what we should be talking about, I feel like.
Okay.
Is there a pricing policy, and is it enforced?
So there's two kind of key terms here that I think, and this is going exactly on what you're just saying here. There's two key terms. One of them is a MAP, which is a minimum advertised price. And then the other one is unilateral pricing policies, which is what people are doing to kind of enforce the MAP pricing, correct? So why don't you go ahead and tell us the definition of what MAP is and what it entails for shops selling products as a retailer. What do they do? And what is jobber as well?
So from my understanding, MAP, again, like you said, is minimum advertised price. So if a brand has a MAP, customers can sell the product for whatever they would like to sell it for. If they want to sell it at their cost, they're free to do that. But they can't advertise for the product lower than the MAP price, whatever the manufacturer sets that price at. Jobber is just Jobber is different from manufacturer to manufacturer. It's just a number that the manufacturer comes up with. A lot of times I see it as, okay, so if a shop calls a manufacturer direct, they might get jobber pricing, the level pricing that they call jobber. But maybe if they call Turn14, they would get jobber less 10%. So, I think it's kind of just a made-up number by the manufacturer.
And I've seen it for a long time, but I never really understood what it was other than just a different pricing level. So
a lot of manufacturers are getting away from the jobber level of pricing.
Okay.
You asked me about UPP.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, it's different from MAP in that you can't advertise or actually sell the item for lower than the UPP price. So MAP, you just can't advertise, but you can sell for whatever you like. But UPP, to my knowledge, is you have to advertise and sell for this set price.
Okay. And so how do you guys enforce do not sell lists and I guess in effect MAP pricing? So if somebody starts selling MAP below a certain price and that manufacturer says cut them off, how do you guys enforce it?
So we just added a new position here called a brand equity specialist. So the job of the brand equity specialist is to kind of ensure Turn14 is the most compliant WD out there when it comes to pricing policy enforcement. You're talking about adding people to do not sell lists. Mm-hmm. That's one of the roles of this person here. So we take that extremely seriously. I think enforcement of these policies is the key to the policies. So that's one of the things I'm trying to focus on now, is just to be the most compliant when it comes to the enforcement. I want to mirror the manufacturer's enforcement of their own policies. If they take their policies seriously, I want to take them equally as seriously. Honestly, I think we're all headed in the right direction if manufacturers get serious about enforcement and all WDs get serious about enforcement. That's when I think we start seeing us move in the right direction, us as an industry.
A survivable profit margin. And it doesn't take a lot. It's just if it's nothing, then you can't even. There's no point even selling the parts if you don't make anything on it, right?
Exactly. So. I actually like I was saying at the beginning, I talk a lot about MAP and enforcement, and I was talking to this one of my buddies who actually started working at a company called Oris Intel. So what they do is they assist manufacturers with pricing policy enforcement. I don't know if you've heard about these kind of companies. So these guys, what they do is they crawl the internet and they look for people violating MAP pricing. So you can give this Oris company, say, 1,000 part numbers. A manufacturer can give them 1,000 part numbers and give them the MAP pricing on each part number. So if they find anyone online selling below that MAP price, what this company does is it takes a screenshot, a PDF version of the screenshot, and keeps it on file so the manufacturer can see exactly who's violating. It collects all this data and puts it into this cool, just one page where you can see kind of everything that's going on. they actually have this cool thing. It shows you who was actually first to move below map pricing. So sometimes customers will one guy will change, and then one guy sees this guy change, and that guy changes, and another guy changes, another guy changes. It triggers this whole effect. So if you can get the guy who's starting the violation and kind of ask him to, or get him in compliance, that might be a real good solution to the problem. But it's an investment I think manufacturers should be making in companies similar to Oris, Intel.
Okay, and I don't know if it's that Oris Intel specifically, but I've actually been a map violator myself. And I should say I was only in violation because of my webpage, which at the time I never updated. So it was about 5 years old, and I had not changed a single price on anything on there. And a rather large clutch manufacturer blacklisted me, or I guess put me on the do not sell list, because they had instituted a UPP, which is their unilateral pricing policy, in I guess January of that year, and this is probably like 4 or 5 years ago. Actually, probably longer than that. And so I got put on their blacklist, and I could not even buy their product through anybody. So they did exactly what you did. You were enforcing your you were enforcing their do not sell list. And what's interesting was you're exactly right. I got a email from them that had a screenshot from my webpage of one of the clutches that was selling or listed below their map pricing, and they told me that I could not buy the product for a year, at which time they would review review my webpage or whatever I was selling and make sure it was all good. And after that year, immediately I had my wife go and remove everything off the webpage that was from that manufacturer, because I don't really sell anything on my webpage. I just have it up there so people know what I sell. And she took it all off, but she had actually missed a part, and it was a throwout bearing. And of course, after the year goes by, they put me on the sell list, and then about a month later, they put me right back on the do not sell list again because of this throwout bearing listed again below the map pricing. So totally my fault. But at the time, it burned me bad, because I was, I loved selling that clutches. I'd been telling all my customers for, about 5 years, this is a clutch we recommend, this is a clutch we use, and now I can't even sell them. So how am I supposed to sell a product that I've been recommending, right?
See, I hate to hear stories about that, and that's another role of the brand equity specialist here, is so everyone's going to make mistakes, you know what I mean? And I don't want the good, wholesome businesses, if they made an error, to be punished. I feel like a lot of people we deal with add a lot of value to some of these brands, and I think it's important that there's a conversation that happens between the brand equity specialist and the manufacturer to make sure they understand, who's adding value to the product, and maybe it was an error. So I feel like there needs to be some special cases at times to make sure, good customers aren't treated, poorly.
Yeah. And for me, it was a learning experience, because I was still small and I was not very good at selling parts, and I still to this day don't sell a lot of parts. But and I was so mad at the company. I posted on my Facebook page how mad I was, and the owner of the company actually came to my shop, and we talked for about 2 hours about it. And it was pretty eye opening, kind of like his take on it. Like, he did not like doing it either. And he basically just said that his lawyers said that the policy requires them to follow it, by the book. They can't make exceptions to specific people, or at least his policy was that way. And so, it's just kind of one of those things that I couldn't do anything, or I made the mistake. I paid the price for it. But now, on the flip side, they were selling the product, or I was selling their product, and now I had to sell their competitor's product for essentially 2 years.
Yeah.
So
I think I remember this brand you're talking about, and I think policies have evolved since then to make sure there is some give. Maybe the enforcement isn't so hard as to say, you're on the do not sell list for a year without any conversation. But I think it's important to build that into policies, just so you don't lose the good guys, because I think the good guys are what keep some of these places in business. So like I was saying, I just wanted to add one more point about the enforcement side of it. So a lot of manufacturers have MAP pricing, but if they don't have a plan to enforce their MAP pricing, and if they don't enforce MAP pricing, I can't really recommend that MAP is actually followed. Now, it's difficult for me to say that, but I hate to see people lose out on sales by just following MAP and not matching the market pricing. I just don't think it's fair that they aren't able to match the market pricing. That's one of the goals for the brand equity position, is to make sure that it's an equal playing field for everybody, equal enforcement. That's the goal. That's the key. So.
Yeah, so do you actually know how some of the manufacturers set that MAP pricing? Because I know some of them, the parts that I buy, the MAP pricing is wildly high, like more than 100% markup over the wholesale, which would be awesome, but everybody knows that the margins are much, much smaller than that. So
honestly, I don't know how they set their MAP pricing. I mean, I guess that's what they want to see their products sold for. I always encourage communication with the manufacturers if the pricing is not where it should be. I think manufacturers are normally open to those kinds of suggestions, and I've seen them make changes in the past. So okay. I would communicate either with the manufacturer, or if it's a Turn14 brand, definitely communicate with us about it.
Okay. So we all know the margins are slim and in some cases non-existent. What recommendations can you give to shops with physical locations to be able to compete with like drop shippers per se?
I guess there's a couple of different things I could think of. I'm sure some of these shops would have much better ideas than me. From the outside looking in, I guess maybe quote installed prices for parts. If people want to buy a product, quoted as an install package. Discounted labor for parts that they order from the shop. One of the things they could do is offer a no-hassle returns policy to customers. So we have that policy here at Turn14, no-hassle returns. They could kind of pass that along to the customer so they feel warm and fuzzy.
Okay.
Another thing we do is we offer $9.99 flat rate shipping directly to your shop. So customers could pass that savings along to the end user. Really, I think one of the keys is to have a retention program in place to keep your customers. You want to keep your customers coming back. So maybe, a customer buys a $100 item and they get, 10 loyalty points. And once they reach maybe 100 loyalty points, they get a 10% off coupon. Or it's just I see a lot of guys lose focus on their customers. So people buy products from them. You have their information. That's your customer. Market to that customer.
Okay.
Keep that customer.
Right. So you don't have to give us specific numbers in this, but what percentage of your parts are drop shipped versus shipped directly to shops as a stocking order, or like an order for the shop?
I would say 60-40, with 60 being to shops, 40 being drop ships.
Okay, so it is still actually a majority going to specific shops.
Still majority going to specific shops. Yeah, shops stocking up on product and doing builds and whatnot. Yeah.
Has that shifted over the years?
I think it has shifted over the years. I think it was more shop, less drop ship. And I think it's starting to shift. Well, it is starting to shift towards more drop ship, but it's kind of holding. I see it holding.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm guessing as people had web pages, everybody could drop ship from a web page, because every shop can make a web page and cut and paste an address into a purchase order or your web page to ship it, right? and now that everybody's, the direction went that way for several years, I feel like the margins are so small that people can't survive doing that, and have gone back to maybe that's the holding pattern you're seeing, where the differential from drop ship versus directly to shops is holding steady, as the margins are too small. You can't make money drop shipping, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so brick and mortar shops complain online that they, and I'm a part of this too, but we can't compete with the online sales people, right? So what are you doing to help the shops that install the parts to be competitive on pricing?
So this is something I've really been focusing on. It's the whole idea of how do I support Turn 14 customer. So I think I do it this way. I focus on adding quality customers to Turn 14, making sure that the people that are able to purchase from Turn 14 add some value to the industry. They're a serious business and they invest in their business. I think that's one of the keys, adding the brand equity position to make sure we're as compliant as possible with pricing policies and that it's fair for everyone. Supporting the pricing policies manufacturers have, I think, is key. So I want to talk to manufacturers and make sure they enforce as best as possible. And again, I want to mirror that their level of enforcement. Really, it's making sure that there's a fair chance for my customers to be able to make sales and compete against maybe some of the larger guys out there. I want to support the small businesses to give them the tools to be able to compete with the large guys and win the sales on good service and good support.
Awesome. And the shops obviously have their responsibility of being the experts and adding the value to make the sale, right? So it's not just everybody selling parts with no value added. The shop needs to have an expertise in something. Like I do Mitsubishi Evos. If somebody called me and asked me for a Toyota Tundra bumper, I would have no idea. So I add no value to that sale. So there's no reason for me to put that on my webpage, right? So.
Yep. One of the other things we do is we ensure the right guys get the right level of price. I think that's one of the keys. So a guy that adds a lot of value in maybe the sport compact market, he's going to get maybe some extra discount on the sport compact and might not get the extra deal on the Tacoma bumper that you're talking about. So aligning the appropriate price with the appropriate customer, I think, is another way we can help support our customers.
Okay. And what methods of purchasing do you typically see from shops? Like, are they doing it online on your webpage? Are they calling the orders in or emailing purchase orders in? What's most common you see?
I would definitely say placing orders on turn14.com. Without a doubt, they know what the shipping costs are going to be right away. They know the inventory level. It's live inventory, so when they click the button and check out and they go back to that same product, there's one less item there because it's real time. I just think we make it pretty easy on the website, so that's what most guys do. But I mean, we'll take emails, phone calls, texts, whatever it takes. We're here for everybody for whatever they need, but most guys use the website.
Okay, so that is the best way to buy parts for you.
I would say so, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and so what about manufacturers who want to sell to you? Like, tell us kind of how that works. I guess sell through you, I guess, or sell to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty painless. So we're looking for partnerships. We want to help brands grow. We're looking for premium brands that we can stand behind, real quality, high quality brands that we would be proud to have on our line card. So we take our brands pretty seriously. I would say we have one of the smallest line cards out of the WDs, but like I said, I'm pretty proud of the line card that we do have, and we commit to all of the brands that we do have on the line card with a lot of inventory. So
okay, so are you looking for them to be able to do a specific volume? What kind of requirements do you put on them?
I think one of the requirements is in order to pick up a brand, there needs to be besides the premium part and the high quality, there needs to be room for a WD to purchase the product. When I say that, I mean that I need a deal good enough to be able to have the customers that I sell to compete with the guys selling in the marketplace right now. So I need to put Turn14's customers in the best possible position to win. That's one of the big things that we look for when dealing with brands.
Okay, so if you saw a brand that sells, I don't know, maybe I can use an example, but Hawks sells stuff through a tire rack pretty much at everybody's cost. So, as an example, if Hawk wanted to sell through you, and maybe they already do, that would not be a very good manufacturer to pick up? I mean, this is just an example. Maybe Hawk is a great one to have, but
So Turn14 doesn't win when our customers don't win. So I couldn't possibly pick up a brand like that. But interesting to hear you say Hawk's name. I wasn't aware of that issue. We do carry that brand. I actually like that brand a lot. So that's a perfect example of things that we want to hear, the problems that customers experience. I want to know this stuff so I can kind of dig in and make sure that Turn14 and its customers are competing on a level playing field. It's extremely important to us.
Okay. And so obviously the people that you are selling, you need to have the product available. If a manufacturer wants to sell through you, they need to be able to deliver the product to you. And you don't do like special order one-off things, right?
Not too much, maybe a little bit, but we need the product available to be able to purchase it, to have it on our shelves. I mean, we're a WD, so that's a key part of being a WD is having inventory available. I think most manufacturers do a really good job about making inventory available. I mean, it's a big investment for them to have the inventory available for Turn14 to buy right away. So I think for the most part, they do a pretty good job. I respect the investment that they make in their own brands.
Okay. And you already kind of touched on this a little bit, but you're the brands you seek out are a lot of times driven by the shops buying through you, recommending it. But is there any other particular vehicles you seek out part lines for?
Just the different markets that I talked about: diesel, muscle, sport compact, and European. So, just brands that we think are high quality brands. It's are things that we look at, things with good demand, and we want good partners, good companies to deal with. So we'll talk to the guys that we think are good people. So a lot of people will come and approach us with their brand and their plan, and we review every one of those.
Okay. And you guys are, this is kind of the next line of questions, but you guys are at like SEMA and as well as PRI, right? So people can always get in touch with you there and see, kind of talk to you guys, your actual salespeople, right?
Yep. They can talk to the salespeople. They can see turn14.com. If they don't have an account, they can see inside of our website. They can talk to the purchasing team. If they're a vendor, manufacturer, and they want to sell to us, they can talk to me. We're there and we're ready to chat. So
okay, so the best way for somebody who wanted to sign up for you is to just go to the webpage and you probably have a sign up form there.
Yeah, the best thing to do is just go to turn14.com and there is a become a dealer button, and there's actually become a supplier button. Click those, you get some information, and you can start the process that way.
Okay, so you can do both of them, both as a manufacturer or as a shop.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Before we continue on, I wanted to take a second and tell everyone about My Shop Assist. If you own or work for a performance shop of any type, take some time to think about how organized and efficient your operation is. Our goal at Do It For Living is to tell success stories in the industry and to educate you, the listener, on how to be successful in your business. My Shop Assist is a cloud-based shop management system developed to address the common shortcomings shops have. It enables you to track hours, pictures, notes, and even parts on every job at your shop. Manage your techs with the built-in calendar and assign tasks to them. The jobs can be exported to QuickBooks for accounting and billing. Customers can log in online and follow your progress on their car and digitally sign your work orders. MSA was designed to be simple to use and will help anyone from a one-man shop to the top-performing shops in our industry. Check out the system for free at myshopassist.com. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk a little bit more about yourself. What's something that you struggle with in business, and how do you deal with it?
Well, I think it's funny. It's all coming back to the same subject. It's one of the things I struggle with is sometimes manufacturers taking shortcuts to gain business by giving larger retailers big discounts. It's really frustrating. It kind of pushes smaller shops and WDs who support the smaller shops out of the sales chain. So I keep a close eye on that, and that's something that sometimes I struggle with, and I always am battling.
Okay. So what's the most successful method you use to promote your business? Is it like, are you guys using Facebook, word of mouth, talking to people on forums or those trade shows? What's kind of the best way you use?
I would definitely say word of mouth. A lot of times our vendor partners they're talking to different shops all the time, and shops are asking them the best place to buy their products from, and we'll get a lot of new business coming from referrals from vendors. So it gives vendors the chance to talk about the benefits of Turn14. So I think that's the best method that I've seen.
Okay. And do you have a 1-year plan of Turn14?
I guess it's to continue to do what we're doing, continue to support small businesses, to allow them to compete in the marketplace, battle against bigger businesses. I want to give those guys the tools to keep the small business in the game with the larger retailers, allow them to compete. I think that's the plan. I think that's the goal. That's what we've been doing. That's what we're probably going to continue to do.
Okay. And do you have like a bigger, like a 5-year plan, or is it just is this the path that Turn14's on and you're going to stick to that?
We probably do have a 5-year plan. That might be a better question for our owner. From my perspective, it's continue to do what we're doing. I think it's adding brands, supporting customers, and like I said, keeping the smaller businesses in the game and making sure they have a playing field to compete on fairly and win.
Okay, so I should ask this. Do you guys can you see in your numbers if performance shops are not successful? Is that something you're able to see?
So we have, I feel like we have close relationships with our customers, and the sales reps, we have small number of customers per sales rep, and I think we have good communication, and I think shops will tell us when they're not able to compete. So we can see that through numbers, and we can see that, more importantly, through the communication we have with customers.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because we have I have a database that we put together of shops, and it's about 2,500 shops maybe 4 years ago, and within 2 years, I think like 30% of those shops had gone out of business or were no longer active. Facebook, email, web pages, Facebook, email, or web pages were all gone. So I personally, through what we do, we see enormous turnover in this industry. You probably see a similar, I'm guessing you see a similar pace, right?
Yeah, there was a period of time where a lot of good shops were, they were closing up. I can't remember the year that was happening. It was when everything kind of was not so good, but a lot of good people, had to close their doors. Very sad to see.
Okay. And so we like to take action on Do It for a Living. Can you suggest an action item our listeners can take away to improve their situation?
I would say 2 things. I would say one of the keys that I use is to, I learned this from my boss, my buddy, the owner of this company, is to make sure I unplug. So I think it's important to kind of step away from the work. And if you're at home, make sure you're just chilling out, or if you go on vacation, don't log into your email and check out to see what's going on. I think it's important to unplug, so when you come back, you're fresh. You almost have a new perspective on things. I think that's a key. I think that's a key to having success. The other thing and
it's so hard to do, at least for me.
It's really hard to do. Man, I look at my email too often,
Yep.
But the other thing I would say is get to know your Turn14 sales rep. That's what we're here for. We invest time with our customers, and I feel like our customers should invest time getting to know sales reps. We're here to do special things for people, and we want to do special things. That's the role of the sales team. Like I said, we keep the number of customers per sales rep small and controlled. So hey, get to know your sales guy. Get them to talk to him. We can do things if you need them done. So we're looking to do special things. So
okay.
That's one thing that I would say is a tip.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to move on to the quick answer questions here. And so these are just, to shoot something out, whatever you think of first, and we'll kind of go from there. So
okay. Tell
us a game-changing product you've seen in the last year.
Game-changing product. Honestly, I would say WeatherTech floor mats. These guys I think they're killing it. I see them all over the place. My wife is asking me to buy her WeatherTech floor mats, which is just shocking to me. I saw they had a Super Bowl commercial this year and last year. I think that's awesome to see a company that I have on, the Turn14 line card to have a Super Bowl commercial. I think that's pretty awesome. I think that's game changing.
So what software program are you using daily?
Turn14.com. It's that's the software I use.
And so your whole backend is all done through the web page then as well, huh?
Yep, everything's done in-house. We built it all in-house. So
awesome. And do you have a favorite app on your phone that you use daily? And this doesn't have to be Automotive if you don't.
I would say it's probably CNN. Man, I get a kick out of watching the election unfold this year. I feel like I can't get enough of it. So I'll go on CNN a lot. And it's funny, there's another app that I've been using recently. I have to log in and look at the name. I love House of Cards, and there's a game that they're playing on House of Cards. It's called Argaio, or Agario. Have you seen House of Cards before?
I have started watching it. I have not gotten very far to it, though. So
it's the game they're playing on House of Cards. It's so addictive. You're a little dot, and you're trying to eat other little dots, and dots that are bigger than you can eat you. It's anyone who's seen House of Cards might get a laugh at it, but
right,
yeah, I've been playing that a lot.
Okay, and what's your favorite shop tool?
Favorite shop tool? I'm not really in the shop too much. Anytime I want to do something to my car, I'm always having the experts do it. So I'm going to have to go with Turn14.com, man. That's my favorite shop tool.
And what are you driving right now? Is it still a Subaru?
I drive a 2007 Subaru, and I just got a Hellcat. I've been driving around the Challenger Hellcat, so I've been having a lot of fun with that.
Tire shredder, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty much just most of the questions here. So what do you see the future of automotive performance going to be to kind of close this thing out?
The future of automotive performance? Honestly, I don't know. I'm a little scared about the future of automotive performance. I feel like everyone's kind of cracking down on all these products you can add to the car that make it go fast. I feel pressure. I don't know what to expect. I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling about it, to be honest with you.
So diesel performance and electric cars, you're going to have to start coming out with Tesla mods, huh?
Yeah, right.
Okay, and so how do we connect with you and your company?
The best way to connect with the company is go to turn14.com, and you can see our phone number on there. You can email us at general@turn14.com or sales@turn14.com. My contact information is on there if you ever want to contact me. It's all on the website. Awesome.
Well, I really appreciate having this conversation with us, Kyle. It's really informative, at least from my perspective, and I think a lot of our listeners are going to think the same thing. So
it was a pleasure. I appreciate talking about this subject. I've been talking about it a while. The conversation is going to continue about this subject, so I'm always here to chat with whoever wants to chat about.
It is, and
chat about the subject.
Maybe we'll have to do a follow-up in a year from now to see if everything is going in the same direction.
That would be interesting. Sign me up for that, actually, please.
Thanks again for your time.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website, doitforaliving.net. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app, tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe,